So pretty. Hi, this is Julia with Soap Pretty. We are going to look at soapcalc.net today. I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to formulate your own soap. So when you first get there, you come to this page right here. And they have, a welcome. It's under new ownership, but I can help you maneuver to find your way. They have, it says it's not secure, but it really is. It really is. Recipe calculator, you can click on that and go right to it. The getting started page, that will actually take you to, understanding cold and warm process soap. The soap calc directions, after you make your recipe, they can give you directions on how to use it. There's different advertisers along the sides there that you can buy things from. It's really nice. It's a really great website. I just go all the way down to the bottom of the page and I click on Soap Calc Lie Calculator. And the wonderful thing about this lie calculator, because it covers everything and you can learn from this calculator. We're basically going to be touching on 1 through 7. See 1, the weight of oil. 1 was the lye, weight of oils, the water. We're going to keep that as percentage of oils, which will be 38%. Superfat 5. The fragrance, I actually put in about 1.5 in fragrance and 2.0 if it's essential oils. I always calculate just a little less of some of the more runny oils if I'm calculating the 0.5 ounces. If I do a 2.0. So anyway, so here we are. Look at number 5, soap qualities and fatty acids. They are going to tell you the qualities of your soap. And then of course the oils, fats, and waxes there that we're going to look at. We're going to look at some of the cheaper oils that you might just have already in your kitchen. You want to make soap today, look at the oils that you have, and then with this calculator you can work with them and find out the best qualities like hardness, cleansing, conditioning, bubbly, creamy, what amount of iodine and INS. You can learn about the different fatty acids, the lauric, all those fatty acids and which oils have those particular fatty acids and what they do by clicking on the eye. Now, there's a lot of oils here you're never going to buy, and you will never see them at the store. You'd have to buy them special. So let's start from the top. The first thing I can recognize is almond butter. I know that's a little expensive. The sweet almond you can use in a lip balm with some beeswax and some olive oil, or instead of olive oil, you'd use the almond oil with some flavoring, and it's amazingly smooth. And we'll do that video another time. The aloe butter, another thing, you're familiar with it, but it's really not at the store. So we're going to bump all the way down. I mean, avocado butter is really nice. But it's expensive. So we're going to skip past, by the way, the babassu oil. It is actually a palm tree. It's a type of palm tree. It's kind of like palm oil. It's just about as good as palm oil. Then there I am back up there pointing at the sweet almond. I pre-recorded the screen and now I'm trying to say the same things because my audio didn't work. So we'll see what we can do about that. But yes, I will give another video on lip balm. I know all you soapers are like, what? You're not going to talk about soap? No, I'm talking about oils, and we're going to learn how to use this calculator. Don't be overwhelmed and you're like, oh, I'll sit through this boring thing. Actually, it's kind of fun because you can go through and look at all the different oils and their properties, but we're just going to look at something familiar. Okay, so I think the first thing that we're going to hit that's familiar would be the beeswax. Okay, we're going to add that. We'll use the percentage calculator and we'll just put 100% because we're just going to make it all out of beeswax. Now, we're not actually making a recipe 100% out of beeswax. What we're going to do is, we're just going to see what the properties of the beeswax would look like if we made, oh gosh, it's hardness, no cleansing, really great conditioning, no bubbly, much, oh gosh, off the charts creamy, really, really great wax to use for soap. Wow. I mean, the hardest on the soap, I think, goes up to about 64 or something. I can't remember. But we definitely are going to need to add something to it to get the cleansing and the bubbly effect. And we're going to find some other oils that do that. Now, if I were you, I would just write down some common things that you know about that you'd like to try, like beeswax. I would put, we have bees. It would be cheap for us to use beeswax. And we don't know anything about black cumin seed oil. We don't see that in the store very often. So what we're going to do is go down to canola oil. Most people carry this instead of vegetable oil. So we're just going to add that and get about 100% of there and calculate that, and look at that. We don't have any hardness, but the conditioning is whack off the charts. It's awesome. Creamy just a tiny bit. So this would be something if you had like a harsh cleanser oil and you needed to soften it up. This would be a good one. If you just have canola in the house, you do your best. It looks like it's going to be more of a Castile soap, something very conditioning, not harsh at all. So that is, you can still make a soap out of it, but it is going to be more of a hand soap that's liquid, because look at the hardness is only a 6. So, I mean, you could probably put that with beeswax. It would be a hard soap, but it wouldn't be cleansing at all. Castor oil. We're going to try castor oil. I can tell you some different things. I just didn't want to tell you what oils to put it with right now, and you get all overwhelmed and panicked. The best thing for you to do is go through each oil that you recognize and look at these. Oh my goodness, look at the castor. No hardness, no cleansing, but conditioning, bubbly, creamy. Castor oil is something you definitely want to use. The iodines and the INS, I think, are great. I think those are fine. And I mean, so we're going to need something that has hardness and cleansing. Wow, that's amazing. You could even use that with the beeswax, because the beeswax, it had hardness, but no, no bubbly or cleansing. So, I mean, that might be something. I mean, if you had to, you could make a soap out of it, but I'd put maybe some activated charcoal or something with that, so you can at least get an antimicrobial cleansing effect through that. So let's look at chicken fat. You'd be really surprised. I mean, you just boil your chicken skin and your chicken fat and then let it cool down, and all the fat will harden up at the top or sink down to the bottom. So you just scoop that out, put it in a container with a little paper towel, and keep it in the refrigerator. So if you look at chicken fat at 100%, let's look at what the calculations are. Pretty decent hardness. I know a lot of soapers that make a soap that's about 34 to 36. I like to do about 41 to 50 something. Condition, wow, that's really good. Cleansing, of course, not so good. Bubbly, not so good. Creamy, really good. Chicken fat is a really nice alternative if you have one of the more cleansing, bubbly things to put with it. Let's look at cocoa butter. It's kind of expensive, but I've had it before. It's off the charts hard, it's conditioning and creamy, and it looks like a lot of these are just, everything but conditioning or cleansing and bubbly. So cocoa butter has a really strong chocolate smell. So with the smell, you want to make sure your fragrance goes with chocolate. Nothing that would smell weird with chocolate. So just smell your cocoa butter and smell your fragrance and see if they match close by before you put it in your soap, and that would be good. And it's really important for you to look through every one of these oils again and make sure you take notes on what some of them do, especially the ones that are more inexpensive and that you'd like to use in the future, and what might go with the cocoa butter for cleansing and creamy, or go with the, some of these that have the same properties. Some of them are hard and some of them aren't, but here we are. Let's look at cocoa butter. Coconut oil with cocoa butter, came from the same plant. In fact, palm oil too. So that's a wonderful plant God gave us. So coconut oil is 79, 67 on the cleansing. Now, you never want to put, bubbly, not very creamy. You don't want to put anything like this on your skin, not by itself. This is a great laundry bar, but it is not a great bar for your body, because that 67 cleansing is no good. No good. You want to keep it around 23 or less, right? So when we do calculate the recipe on the other page, you will see the actual guidelines for hardness, cleansing, conditioning, bubbly, creamy, and iodine and INS. So, okay, so with the coconut oil, it is the one thing that has the cleansing and the bubbly that nothing else did that you could put with the canola oil and the chicken fat and everything else we've looked at today did not have the cleansing or the bubbly or the hardness that we needed. So I just think, sorry, my husband keeps sending me messages. It's his time of day that he's free. So look at the different oils that you can put with the coconut oil, and you should put them together and look at what kind of bar you're going to get. I often take somebody else's recipe and I'll plug it into the soapcalc.net and I'll see what kind of bar they're making. And it's good because you don't want to just try somebody's recipe without testing it here first, because it might be something that you do not want on your body. It might be too harsh. So here's corn oil. I'm getting ahead of myself. Not very hard, very conditioning, creamy. So if it's the only oil you have in the house, that's going to be that extra conditioning, creamy that you use with, let's say, your coconut oil, then have at it. It's super cheap. Well, I think everything's expensive these days, but that's just me. Cottonseed oil is actually what you have in your Crisco, but that's the old Crisco, but the new Crisco is cottonseed and palm. But the cottonseed oil is pretty nice, conditioning, very creamy, has a little bit of hardness to it. You could add that with the coconut oil. That would be really nice. It's kind of, it would make a really nice bar of soap. With coconut, it seems like coconut and other things that are great because coconut has all the cleansing properties. But again, you can use activated charcoal. Like I said, the old Crisco is made of cottonseed oil. The new Crisco not. But anyway, so you know how to do the duck fat with the boiling out. The evening primrose, flaxseed oil. These aren't very common ones. Now the grapeseed oil I've used before. It's about the same cost as most things, and I found it really conditioning, not very hard, a little bit creamy, so it has better properties than some of the conditioning ones. It doesn't have a very long shelf life, so if you just want something to sit there because someday you're going to make oil, well, you better get anything done before 6 months because that's usually, some people don't use rancid oil in their soaps. I've actually done it and it's been fine. I don't know. Some people are going to scream at me about that, but what else are you going to do with your rancid oils, But I haven't found any problems. I haven't had any issues. So all these that I'm just swirling around here, these are ones that, we don't hear of very much, like mango seed butter and Mora butter. I mean, who knows what that is? Oat oil. We can only imagine. Of course, we know olive oil is probably the most used oil. Now in Iraq, they use olive oil to make Castile soap. The hardness is only 17, condition 82, iodine. Creamy is pretty good, and the iodine's, a little high, and the INS is 105. But it makes a really great natural bar soap if you just want a bar soap that's cleansing. A lot of people that have eczema, you want less cleansing than more. You can also, like I said, use the activated charcoal and pushing that because it's such a great antimicrobial, and the black is such a pretty color to use in your soap. And a little goes a long way. It really does. So I love the olive oil so much. What's really cool about how they make it in Iraq is they put it on in a building on the floor, on the tile floor, and they emulsify it there. And then when it dries out, they hand cut it and get it off, and they stack it up in what looks like tiny little man-sized temples. And it's just beautiful. I can just imagine how it smells. It smells so good. So palm oil is really great. I've noticed that it's made a big difference in my soaps because it is really creamy. The iodine is a lot better, and the hardness is really great. So, I mean, all by itself, palm oil would make a great bar of soap. It would be one of those squishy bars of soap that you could probably squish in your fingers and it have to go to, and it starts to get really wasteful. Even though it says it's 50, a really, a genuine palm oil soap I've had before, and it is kind of soft. But at the same time, I wouldn't make just a one oil soap anymore. I've tried that, and I used to make olive oil soap a lot. And I think I think if you have to, you have to. Palm oil is probably one that you could probably get away with more than any other because it's creamy, really creamy. But I think if you added something with the palm oil and like maybe even the coconut oil for a little bit more cleansing, that would work really nicely. So let's look at peanut oil, 100%. Calculate recipe. Let's look at 11 on hardness. Yeah, it's terrible. Really high in conditioning, kind of creamy, nothing on cleansing or bubbly. That's when, again, the coconut oil might be the one you want to keep around for, and it seems like most things are going to need help in the bubbly and cleansing area. But I would go ahead and check all of these other things. You might be able to use a lot less to get what you need, but the hardness is really, really important. I think by the end of this, we're going to figure out a couple things that you can use to make a really good, inexpensive bar soap that you'll really love. And so, I mean, there's the rabbit fat, the red palm butter. These are not familiar. These are not common. And what I wanted to do today was just look at some common things. We hadn't looked at soybean oil. But shea butter. Shea butter is, it's expensive. It's really soft. I would rather use that for like body butter. I probably won't look at soybean oil. But all these tallows, people in other countries make tallows or tallow. And I know that Walmart sells a shortening that has tallow in it. I probably won't be buying shortening from Walmart with tallow in it just to make soap. Unless it's awesome, we could take a look at it. I think it's just up to what you're used to using for soap, to see if you want to make, oil, to see if you want to make soap out of it. So, it seems like it's pretty common that we need something that's really going to cleanse, right? So let's make a recipe. I already put up beeswax. Let's see what else we can use. Castor oil. That was really creamy and just sudsed up really, really well. And it didn't have any cleansing, but it had everything else but hardness and cleansing. Coconut has the hardness and cleansing. So I'm going to try coconut at 25 and castor. I'll do a little more because we need that conditioning and sudsiness. And beeswax will give us our hardness. But we don't want to do too much. So we're going to play with the levels a little bit. Look at what we've got. 51 on hardness. 17, not very cleansing, but cleansing enough for sensitive skin. Conditioning is great. Bubbly, creamy. This is great, just as is. It's great. But we're gonna play with bumping up the cleansing. We'll see what that looks like. Okay, and we're gonna change because we have to only have 100%. We can't have 110. So we're just gonna have to change some things up here. And maybe we can still get a really good hardness, but still and get a great quality cleansing soap. Let's play with these totals, see what we can get. 59. Oh my gosh, that's even off the hardness scale. That's really hard. Oh goodness. And 23. It's a little more on the harsh on the cleansing. Everything else looks really good. 23 is okay, but if you have sensitive skin, I'd keep it under 23. I'd keep it like 22 or under. And 17, I don't know. It probably wasn't good enough for me, but I'm just gonna switch this out. 32, 39. Nope, I gotta change that to a 7. Okay, there we go. Calculate. Wow, that's so perfect. Okay, we need to try to get this recipe calculated and see what it looks like. It's not working. Let me click a couple things here, then maybe that will work. Yes. Okay. Well, it's not working. Wait, that should do it. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, the water is 6.08, lye 1.88, oils 16, fragrance 1.5, and so the soap weight before you cook it, it's 25. So this is more like heart-shaped things. You could double it and you'd have a 10-inch mold taken care of and a couple hearts. Or you could refigure it. But I mean, if you look at the hardness and everything's good. You can see those ranges that you need to be within. You see which kind of fatty acids that they're falling under. And I think all of it's really, really good. I mean, that's a hard bar of soap. Right away, it'll probably be hard, and you could probably use it without having to wait 5-6 weeks. The conditioning and the bubbly and the creamy, that's going to be a luxurious bar soap. I mean, beeswax might be the way to go, because you don't, especially if you want to use some softer oils, but just aren't giving you the hardness you need. I mean, as long as you can melt and emulsify the beeswax within the others, because beeswax, it hardens pretty quickly after you've melted it. So that'll be a real trick in the process. We'll have to do that on a video too. But anyway, I'm going to try this soap. This is, castor oil and coconut. I have that around. Beeswax, I have that. I have bees. I have beeswax. It's awesome. I think that'll be great. And of course, when you melt the beeswax, you can probably strain it through a really nice strainer to get any, impurities. So I'm just going to change the levels here so that we can get like at least like a 46 maybe. I like to do about 49 ounces for soap, because it fills the 10 ounce all the way up. I'm sorry, the 10-inch mold all the way up to the top, which I like because I think it's important for you to have a large, tall, beautiful bar of soap. And I like cutting them a little thicker. Sometimes I only get 7 bars that way. Sometimes I get 8, and it just depends. I just love playing with my soap. So here we go on the coconut, 15. Okay, we're going to see the levels. I'm going to calculate. Well, let's take down the coconut one. And we'll add that one to the castor oil for creaminess and all that. Let's try that. Oh, that looks good. Oh, the hardness is way over the top. Oh, I'm just determined to see how hard we can get this bar. Okay, so yeah, look at that. That is the hardest bar I have ever seen. We're going to have to try this. We are going to have to try this. Crazy bar of soap. That would be fun to get those little bubble pops that you get in your Amazon and any other kind of packaging, and put it on the top of your 10-inch mold. Press it in so when you take it off, it looks like honeycomb. That would be cool. I've seen people do that. That's awesome. So look at this. Take a screenshot. Water 16.72, lye 5.12, 44 ounces total oils together, which are going to be down a little lower of and then fragrance, not 413. You're only going to do 2 if it's oils, or 1.5, and you'll have to put that extra there into castor oil so that you have the exact amount of oils, because it's going to show 4.13, but if you're only going to use 1.5, then you have to subtract that and then add it back in with some other kind of oil, right? Because you want it to be exact. You can't just short it. The only thing you can short is a little bit of water. So the beeswax is 16.92, castor is 12.80, Coconut oil, 14.28. 44 is still really a decent weight for the oils before you add all the water and everything. You know, you're going to get the 10-inch mold, and then you're going to get, I'm just going to add more. Let's see if we can get this. That's a good looking bar right there. It's not too hard. It's not too rough on the cleansing. So, all right. So if you can see the ranges, the hardness, the cleansing, conditioning, bubbly, creamy, iodine, look at those ranges. You don't want to go any higher than 54 on the hardness. But there we go. We're 57. The cleansing 20. Perfect. It's on the high end. Conditioning 54. Really, really good. Everything's looking really, really good. High end on the creamy. I love a creamy bar soap. I mean, who doesn't want to just have a yummy smelling creamy bar soap that you can just totally submerge yourself into that bubbly creamy. It's just yummy. It's good. So I just want to let you take a screenshot. Well, I might take a screenshot. I'm going to try this. Maybe I'll come back, let you know how it worked out. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, I guess you can leave them in the comments. But I think soapcalc.com or .net, sorry, is probably my favorite place to go to play with a recipe. I think you should take the time to look at all the different fatty acids on the other page and click on that light green eye for information, and it will describe what each of the fatty acids where they come from, what the actual chemical looks like, and you know, and see what kind of fatty acid makes up the hardness, cleansing, conditioning, bubbly. Get to know your oils. You want to make sure that you understand the process, and if you haven't studied safety measures, haven't done that video, but if you look at somebody making soap, you're going to notice possibly that they're wearing gloves, definitely glasses, a very well ventilated area, free from pets and children. And I even shut the door so I don't have any cats jumping up on my desk while I'm trying to make anything. I only have one that would do that. But so make sure that you're using familiar oils that aren't too expensive. You know, you don't have to have an expensive oil or cream or wax to get a really great bar soap. Like I was saying, chicken fat might be one of the better things next to castor oil, and of course coconut oil. And you can get those at the big box stores, and really, really by the bulk, it's great. So here I'm looking at just at the top the different things you want to plug in, and there again is they're allowing 5 for the super fat, you know, up there. But we don't need to really worry about that. You just make sure that in your fragrance that you compensate if you don't actually use that much, which I don't recommend you do. If you like it really strong, but which I do, I think 1.5 is plenty strong for fragrance. 2.0 is plenty strong for an essential oil. I mean, it just depends on how much money you want to spend on a smell. Which I would. I mean, I really think that's what I like the best about my soap. And they dry right next to my desk where I write, make videos, make soap, and they dry on a shelf, and I can smell them even right now, and it's just so delicious. So I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that you understand that you can put different oils together and come up with a recipe. But I would encourage you to make sure that you put enough ounces in that recipe to fill up your mold that you've chosen to use. So if it's a 10-inch mold, I'd say 49 ounces total would be really good. Total, that's with water, lye, fragrance, oils together, total. And if you don't know what your mold holds, then I would just put some water in it, measure the water. You can do it in ounces. That would be really good. I don't know about cups, if that would work, but if you can put it on your digital scale, then that would really work for you. So I hope that you'll try, and if you have any questions, again, write it down below. I'm gonna stop for now, and above all, make sure that you enjoy making soap. If it's not fun, it's not worth it. But when it's fun and you're putting all these beautiful mica colors in, it's gonna be so pretty. Until next time, this is Julia. So pretty.